Sometimes the realized dreams of others spark within us the desire to achieve our own dreams that we have set aside. Thinking maybe someday I'll get after that dream, but that day just keeps getting kicked down the road like an old tin can. So today, my interview with the amazing Gina Abrams, so inspiring that you're going to think again about your own dreams and think, yep, not someday, but today. Gina is a member of the Shift community and defied the odds and achieved not one, but 3 major milestones in a single year. At 60 years young, Gina reached and is maintaining her ideal weight, proving that it's never too late to take control of your weight and health. But she didn't stop there. Oh, no. With newfound energy and confidence, she took on one of the most challenging adventures of her life, climbing the majestic Dolomites. Gina's story is really a testament to the power of persistence and the importance of setting goals and the incredible things that you can accomplish when you believe in yourself. So if you are looking for some inspiration, motivation, grab that dream, dust it off, and come on in. Did you know that our struggle with weight doesn't start with the food on your plate or get fixed in the gym? 80% of our weight struggle is mental. That's right. The key to unlocking long-term weight release and management begins in your mind. Hi there, I'm Rita Black. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, weight loss expert, best-selling author, and the creator of the Shift Weight Mastery process. And not only have I helped thousands of people over the past 20 years achieve long-term weight mastery, I am also a former weight struggler, carb addict, and binge eater. And after 2 decades of failed diets and fad weight loss programs, I lost 40 pounds with the help of hypnosis. Not only did I release all that weight, I have kept it off for 25 years. Enter the Thin Thinking podcast, where you too will learn how to remove the mental roadblocks that keep you struggling. I'll give you the thin thinking tools, skills, and insights to help you develop the mindset you need, not only to achieve your ideal weight, but to stay there long term and live your best life. Hello, my lovelies. Come on in. I have got lots of goodies. I got a great episode for you today, and I cannot wait to share it with you. And I also wanted to make sure that you knew right up front that we have coming up next week, starting on September 24th, a number of free online masterclasses that I'm hosting in honor of my birthday month, called Breaking Free, Mastering Your Mindset for Lasting Weight Release. And I love teaching these live events because we dive in deep to the subconscious mind and the patterns and beliefs that keep us from getting what we want, especially in the area of weight management. So you're going to learn how to use your mind more effectively so you can bypass mental sabotage that keeps you struggling. And I'm also going to be doing some weight loss hypnosis so you can leave the class feeling ready and focused for success as we head into the amazing autumn, ready to finally let go of that weight for good. So join us. Go to the show notes or go to www.shiftweightmastery.com and sign up. And just the link is there. It's so easy. Get on board. We'll text you, let you know when it's starting. It's so easy. Just sign on up. Okay, so now I am looking forward to introducing you to the lovely Gina. We have been on this theme of aging, and Gina and I both turned 60 within a few months of each other. So you are going to love her story and find it inspiring because she has been all over the place with weight. And Gina has an amazing insight into this. She's a very thoughtful person, and a fabulous perspective. And I know you're just going to be inspired by her and her story. It is yet another testament to, even if you are over a certain age and feel like a weight failure, when your mind is in the right place, you can find success. So let's welcome the lovely Gina. Welcome, Gina, to the Thin Thinking podcast. We were just having a laugh about bringing 60 back. Gina has just turned 60 as I am turning 60, and I can't wait for you to hear her story. So welcome, Gina. It's nice to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, we were just talking about how it's been about a year since you've been in the world of shift, but like even prior to shift, you started a weight journey, and you're so thoughtful and is such a deep thinker. I said, well, I want to have Gina on because not only did you like, we're going to talk about her trip up the Dolomites, but you have a very interesting and moving. Uh, Frame on the aging process, and I think it's powerful. So but before we get into that, I just tell our listeners a little bit about you and a little bit about your entree into struggling with weight.
Sure. Um, so I was raised in an Italian family with a mother who was a phenomenal cook. And there was
Mm,
a lot of value placed not only on really delicious food, like really delicious food, but on the quantity of the food. And so my upbringing was that food was important, food was love, food was a big part of celebration and a big part of family. My mother was obese. She was about 250, 260 pounds and always struggled with her weight. Um, and my father, who was wonderful, um, was definitely a product of that society's standards around beauty. And I was always aware that he wasn't happy with my mother's weight. Um,
oh,
so there was
did he say things out loud, or was it just kind of his way he looked at her, like?
it was a combination of things. And so there was a lot of contrast there, right? Because everybody loved the food but there was this also thing about weight. Um, and then I remember the first time being aware that maybe my weight was an issue. Well, even before that, I was embarrassed of my mother's weight. I remember,
Yes.
I remember an incident in fourth grade. I was probably 9 years old, where I felt embarrassed of my mother's weight. So by that age, I had already learned that there was something quote unquote wrong with being fat.
Yeah, it's very confusing, isn't it? My mother was obese as well, and I went through a similar thing when, your mom is very overweight, like distinguished so from, other mothers in the pack,
Yes,
and uh what that does internally to you and your psyche. And because as a child, you want to love your mother and think my mom was amazing and an amazing cook too. But there is that I shouldn't think this about my mother, and then I don't want to be embarrassed about my mother, and so you have the guilt, and you have all. It's
absolutely.
so multi-layered. It's just phenomenal.
Yes, I totally resonate with that because it was a combination of embarrassment and guilt. And there were so many layers of feelings around that at such a young age where you're not really capable of processing all this. And it coming really the messaging coming from the outside, not from you, but you having started to absorb that. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then at 11 years old, I think I was the first time I became aware that maybe my weight was a problem. I remember my father picking me up after I had been at sleepaway camp for 2 weeks and commenting that I had gained weight. And then the real send off into this whole dieting world was at 12 years old. I remember a boy in my sixth grade class saying that I would have a good body if I lost weight. And that's where the whole dieting world really started for me.
Ah,
Yeah.
isn't that interesting too? That like just a offhanded comment from
Yeah.
some guy that you're never going to see again, but can just like trigger that whole
That whole thing.
amplification of all of that in your brain.
Yeah. At an age where we, you know, equate being liked or popularity with being pretty and being thin, and when those things are more important in our minds, having
Yeah.
acceptance from our peers.
Well, and that was also because we grew up at the same time.
Mhm.
Super skinny was the aesthetic. I mean, and most girls weren't trying to be super skinny, but it was the 70s and people just, there wasn't the abundance of food, I don't think, that we have now, or snack food and all of that. I mean, most kids were pretty skinny, but not, we didn't have the childhood obesity epidemic that we have now.
Yeah, yeah. And and we didn't have the body acceptance that we have now. Thank goodness we have it now.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I know you have a daughter, two daughters,
I have
right?
two daughters and two sons. Yeah.
Yeah. My daughter is 22 and she really loves her body. Like,
Awesome. Yeah.
isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
She
That's
has other problems, but she loves her body.
yeah. I mean, this generation, we have so much in common. We have similar age kids, or the same age, and I think your weight struggle goes back to when you were 12 years old too, right?
Yes, very
Yeah.
much so.
We're both in California, but I think this generation of our children have so much to deal with, because they have the whole layer of social media that we didn't have. Um, but I'm glad that a lot of their messaging around body is very different.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So this comment kind of spun you into the
Yeah.
world of dieting.
Yeah. So then I remember really creating a diet for myself. By this time, I was already aware of dieting. My mother had gone to Weight Watchers. I had sat in some of the meetings with her, when she didn't have a babysitter. So I remember some messaging around in Weight Watchers meetings. I was aware of Overeaters Anonymous. She had done that too. So I remember creating, a diet for myself and really wanting to lose weight. And that's when it began. And then it's just a journey of a lot of different attempts um, that ranged from everything: Weight Watchers, Overeaters Anonymous, Nutrisystem, Jenny Craig. Then as I got older, I really got into this kind of alternative health world and really started being interested in quote unquote optimal nutrition. And then started
Mm,
to do more extreme things like long juice fasts. I did a 22-day juice fast once.
wow. What was
Yeah.
that like? What do you remember about that?
That by the end I was 99 pounds and my hair was falling out.
Okay.
Literally, I was 99 pounds and my hair was falling out. But it was also, I was experimenting a lot. I
Mm,
part of me knew that this was extreme. Part of me was interested in the experimentation and what would
yeah.
happen. Um, and I went to Institute of Integrative Nutrition. And
Hmm.
what I really learned there is that there's no consensus on nutrition.
Right.
So, and I became a health coach, but really came out more confused or more accepting that there was no right way.
Hmm.
And then, it brought up the question that eventually you would really help answer. It brought up the question of why is it, that we're intelligent women who accomplish a lot of things. And I always felt, but I don't seem to be able to control the 2.5 feet between my hand and my mouth. Like,
Right.
why is it that I want that thing and I can't stop it from getting to my mouth?
Yeah.
That was a big question that sat with me for years and years and years. What is it? I wanted to know the underlying deeper thing,
Hmm.
which led me more into training and transformational work, which then led to more self-love work, which is really the basis of your program. Um,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So you were doing a lot of inner healing just on your process and on your process through life. And
Yes.
and what happened for you, like as you got into middle age, as you got in your 40s, did that change, or like after menopause, did menopause impact you at all, or were you not impacted by menopause?
No, no, I was. So I always would go up and down in my weight, up and down in my
Hmm.
weight. And I remember coming to the realizations like, geez, it's not like a college degree. Once you get it, you don't get to keep it if you don't keep working at it. Like, I was like, it's the work of it doesn't end. Um, So it's funny, just about the hiking. I really didn't get into hiking until my 40s.
Mm.
So
And you were
that
on the East Coast then, right? You were living,
I lived on the East Coast. In 2000. I moved to a house in the same neighborhood that I was living in, but I moved to a house that was on the edge of a reservation, a 2,000-acre forest, basically, that had been, reserved land as green space.
oh,
And
wow.
I realized what a gift it was, and that I wanted to get to know it. This was before, there were apps like All Trails. I don't think there was, you'd have a paper map. So I made it my mission to like get to know this forest, to go in every day, be willing to get lost, be willing to figure out how to get back home. And so
Oh,
to
how
answer,
adventurous of you. I mean, that
yeah,
really
it
is
was kind of
adventurous.
it was adventurous. Well, if you go alone, yeah, I don't have a problem going alone. This is a gift. I'm going to get to know it. And I did. I came to know that forest like the back of my hand, and I started hiking in it every week and taking friends hiking in it. Um, so in my 40s, to answer your question, I was bringing in this new layer of not only exercise, but something I really loved doing, something that fed me from a soul level, not just, okay, we're burning how many calories on this treadmill today.
Right.
And at the same time, um, doing a lot of my experimentation around nutrition and also, I had a lot of kids. By 39 and a half, I had my fourth child. So I was also very, very busy as a stay-at-home mom with four kids and balance. I had four kids in four different schools at one point,
Wow.
from
It's a
preschool to
lot.
high school. They were all in different schools. So the 40s were a very busy time for me, but weight loss, I didn't call it weight release then. Weight loss and optimal nutrition was important to me. I had decided at that point to stop eating meat, animal products mostly. I don't,
Yeah, I was,
yeah, I don't fully define myself as a vegan or a vegetarian because I don't like to make those rules. Sometimes I want to, maybe have some cheese or have some fish, but I don't eat um, land animals at all. And that came more from my mom had breast cancer. And so that became
mm,
a heightened interest in health at the time. So that's what was going on in my 40s. Um, but this had been a long journey. I remember trying to lose weight constantly in college and for long periods of time, maintaining this thin weight, but always a struggle. It was always the struggle that I wanted to figure out. How do we release this struggle? How does it just become natural?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then as you went through menopause and came into you moved to California at some point, like not long ago, right? It was just a couple of years ago.
Yeah. So I moved to California in 2018,
Oh,
August
okay.
2018. We're just coming up on the 6 year mark. So this, there were two incidents that had happened that really were the biggest weight gain I had ever had. And
Mm,
that was, um, I was concerned about democracy. Let's keep it at
mhm,
that.
mhm.
Starting in 2016. And I was making this huge move from New York to California and obviously moving kids, some kids staying in New York, some kids coming. And so there was a lot to
Yeah,
settle than just myself, right?
right.
We
Big
had
upheaval in your life.
big upheaval. And in a very short time, I put on 40 pounds, and which is the most I had gained ever. And for the first time, I couldn't manage to lose it. I could not manage to get rid of it. So I got here to California. It was interesting. Now I was in a new place where people didn't know that I used to be thin. So in some
Mm,
ways that was freeing. In some ways that let me off the hook of
interesting. Yeah, I could see that.
you
Yeah, like
know,
you didn't have to worry about people looking at you and
right. I
saying, "Oh,
didn't have the
you've gained
embarrassment of
weight."
like what happened to her.
Yeah.
So it was interesting about how all these things play into our mindset, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But then back to the hiking. Now I was in California with a whole new amazing place to experience with really gorgeous hiking.
Mm.
And I was struggling to do the kind of hikes I wanted with 40 pounds on, and I wasn't exercising regularly anymore. And I was doing hikes at elevations. I had not done hikes before, so that was another layer that was hard. And I just kind of decided that I did not want my body to stop me from doing what made my heart sing, and that
Mm.
I had the power to help my body keep me doing what made me so happy.
That is so profound. I just love that. And it's so true. I mean, I am sure too, having a mother who was obese and seeing her probably being stopped. My mother had arthritis really early on, was hobbling across the room. And I just, you see that. And even though I was struggling desperately with my weight a good part of my early life, I was just like, I can't, that can't be me at some point.
Exactly the same experience. My mother was always in pain, arthritis, back pain, knee pain, ankle pain, such an effect on the quality of life, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And because I had been at a lot of different weights, I also got very heavy when I was pregnant. I
Mm.
hit 200 pounds when I was pregnant.
Okay.
Because I had been in a lot of different weights, I had had the experience of living in a body with a lot of weight on it and living in a body that didn't have a lot of weight on it. And although being thin does not solve all your problems, it
Mhm.
makes walking through life a lot easier.
Yeah.
And so I had that contrast.
Yeah. You knew it, you had that visceral experience of
Yeah. Of like,
knowing what weight served you best for, like you said, doing what you want to do.
yeah, yeah.
So what got you started on your weight journey? And like, was it that decision and then you started to move forward from there?
Yeah. So then I had this 40 pounds that I was not releasing, and no matter what I would try, I just couldn't seem to do it. And so I started to come across approaches that were really, very much based on body acceptance and self-love. And I liked the approach, but what I found they were missing that you provided was marrying that with the practical side of what it takes to release weight. The
Right.
science and the practicalities of releasing weight. And
Mhm.
so, your program was bringing together two really important things to actually reach this goal of moving through the rest of my life with a body that I felt vibrant in, I felt not limited in, and there were so many pieces of everything I had ever done coming together
Mhm.
in a deep and practical way at the same time.
Yes, I love it. So you got to a certain point and then you were like, I need a little something more. And
Yeah.
then you ran across the program and the aspects of it appealed to you.
Yes. And the other thing I was also that was coming in was weight training.
Oh, okay. Yes.
That in addition to the hiking, to both support the hiking,
Hmm.
because I had hiked the Grand Canyon in 2006 and I had trained very hard for that. And I knew that my weight training made all the difference to make it relatively easy for me to come out of the canyon.
That's
Um,
amazing that you
yeah,
did that. That's so cool.
yeah, it's so beautiful. So I wanted to bring consistency back to weight training to support the hiking and also to support everything that happens when we age if we're not careful, like osteoporosis. And so I knew that that would be an important thing. And I was able to, I had done a vegan fitness program prior to Shift, and that got me back on that. But there was still this missing piece. There was still this mindset around having to be perfect and,
Right. The good, bad, on, off.
yeah. And I had a lot of strong, I can't do this anymore messaging. I can't. It was a very
Mhm.
strong messaging. And I
You
get
mean
these,
keep going with the vegan fitness thing, or
no, that
meaning the,
that I can't lose, I can't really, not, maybe I can lose this weight, but I can't keep it off,
Mhm.
like
Right.
that I'm like not capable of doing it, and
Mhm.
I would get a craving and I've watched myself going into the pantry with this. I just can't do it, like
Mhm.
I'm just going to eat because I can't do it. Um,
Right. Kind of
so
like giving up on yourself a little
yeah,
bit.
so I knew, and I was aware enough from my training in transformational work and self-love that these were thoughts that I had the power to change.
Had you done hypnosis before?
I had not. I was very open to it. Um,
Hmm.
I think I believed it wouldn't work for me. That was another,
Would not or would?
would not,
Okay,
that was
gotcha.
another typical messaging. Yeah, but it won't work for me.
Uh-huh.
That was another typical messaging that I
Yeah,
would.
a lot of people have that. Yeah, for sure.
So I was intrigued by it. I liked the thought of bringing in something that I hadn't tried before, even though I didn't know if it would work for me. Um, so yeah, I hadn't.
And what was it like as you started to engage in hypnosis and, engage in the program? Because I think you, like you mentioned, you came in last July, so almost a year ago,
Yeah.
as a self-study student.
Yeah, I loved it in so many ways because first of all, it's very relaxing and calming.
Mhm.
And two, I knew that this was powerful as far as reprogramming my neurological messaging. That you get to relax, you get to spend some time with yourself while you're reprogramming your brain in a very effective way. Um, so I just liked it. There's a lot of things that go into weight release that you might not necessarily like to do. It was nice to have something you liked to do,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, weight release, I mean, it is because it's a skill set, and some of the skills are more tedious than others,
Others.
but it's
Yeah.
just like, any skill set that like you had mentioned that there are certain things that you do that you get your degree and then you have your
Yeah.
degree, but
Yeah.
the things like motherhood, which is like a skill set you're always having to develop, and almost like, I'm always, the summer has been a complete new learning set of skills, with having older children who need you in the same, as much or if not more, but just
Yeah.
a different
A
aspect of
different
yourself.
way. Yeah. 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 And I also noticed as much as I like doing the hypnosis, my lack of consistency with it. So I knew that it still is another layer where I'm not fully giving myself everything I want, right? I'm letting
Mm.
silly other things get in the way of that. So it's a challenge for me now, a happy challenge to like, yeah, give myself that too. Why am I not
Yeah.
doing it every night?
Yeah.
Nothing to not like about it.
Well, I think with hypnosis, you don't have to do it every night. I mean, once you're kind of engaged, because just so everyone's clear, Gina just reached her goal weight, or her ideal weight, within this last month. So this is all pretty new. But I mean, I do definitely think when you were releasing weight before and doing all the nutrition, and I totally understand that. It's like we're kind of a guinea pig for ourselves. Like we, try to figure out like the perfect alchemy of what, brain alchemy and body alchemy. But it's a skill. I mean, it is a skill set. And the hypnosis is just part of a
Yeah.
set of skills. How did that frame, like this is skill building versus being good on a diet, shift things for you?
Yeah, yeah, that's a very powerful approach. Um, that there are skills that go into this, and we can relate that to so many other things, right?
Yeah.
Um, I could relate it to hiking. Um,
Mm.
so I really liked, I just, I have a very practical side. My college degree is in engineering. So I have
Oh,
a
no
very,
way.
yes.
What kind of engineering? I'm just curious.
mechanical engineer.
Oh,
But I only
very
did it for
cool.
6 years, and then I started having children and decided to be a stay-at-home mom. But that part of me that wants to know how things work and is
Mhm.
very practical around how do you achieve solutions is very much still there.
Yes.
So, um, these skills of weight release, they're obvious, and yet to have them laid out there and be something that you can just work on and just practice and get good at was great.
Yeah.
And I remember my epiphany about the perfection thing
Mhm.
was not only do we not have to be perfect, but it's in the imperfect that we actually learn why we've been repeating this pattern and how it's possible to change it. Like it was an epiphany, like, and not only do I have to be perfect, but it's the imperfect where the learning comes from.
Yeah, it's in the gray. It's
Yeah,
in the gray that we're not willing to be in. And the
yeah,
brain doesn't like to be in that gray. So
right.
we want to
Yeah,
be good, and then we're used to being bad.
right. And when we're
And
bad, we just want to start over to try to be good.
yeah,
We
yeah,
don't want to
because
look
it's
at
too painful to be in all of that badness.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, so the gray area is something that as you know, because you went through both the self-study and then the live, especially in the live, because in the live we all start together. And so the power of the live is like everybody's going through it at one time. So they're all having the epiphany at the same time, like, oh my gosh, I'm didn't do this right. And we're like, yay, you're not doing it right.
I
Good.
know.
Now you get to learn. And now your brain gets to take something on differently than it's used to. And that's how you break all of
Yeah, you
the
were the first person who had
shackles.
celebrated that. You were the first, teacher. I had many, many, many teachers along the way. You were the
Sure.
first teacher who celebrated the, oh, great. Now what did we learn about that? Like, oh, and then like giving yourself the permission to actually reflect there as opposed to push it away and get better.
Yeah.
Um,
Get
was
back to the beginning. Yeah.
right, was where the real shift happened for me
Yeah.
in the
And the
mindset.
good news is like you have all these skills. Like most people who struggle with weight know so much about
Yes.
weight management.
Yeah.
It's just like having permission to have a different frame on it
Yeah.
then just allows your brain to kind of absorb it all in a completely different way.
Yes. And also making it very much your own, you being the leader of it.
Exactly.
I had known that there was no one right thing for everybody. And then, but a lot of these programs, it's pretty much, the same thing for everybody. And you really creating that permission structure of here's guidelines and here's tools and here's skills. And this is your own,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
was empowering.
Yeah, it can be scary at first because it is like, but me, I don't trust me. Like, why would I trust myself?
Right.
But once you get over that, it's incredibly empowering
Yeah.
to take that ownership.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's so great. I love that. So as you've gotten to your ideal weight, I know isn't it interesting because I know you've been at your ideal weight before. Like I know this isn't the first time you've been at your ideal weight, but like maybe you're at your ideal weight in a different way that you have ownership over it. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth but I guess the question I was going to ask is around the same time you went on an amazing hike in the Dolomites and tell us about like that journey of finishing this because I know for you you had a stall in your weight and you had to kind of double down on self-love and seeing yourself from a different perspective in order to kind of get those last few pounds off. And I think that's
Yes.
an important piece because I think a lot of people struggle with the last 10 pounds, because those last 10 are really about loving yourself. And maybe speak to that if you can.
Yes. I gotten to a place where I had released a lot of weight on your program, but was stuck. And I was just staying at the same weight for months. And it was a self-induced plateau. It wasn't like a plateau just because my body was adjusting to it was a self-induced plateau. I was overeating just enough to be in maintenance calories as opposed to release calories. And
Mhm.
so I talked to you then because it was going on for a long time and I knew I needed a new perspective. And you helped me with simple like identity belief changes, simple things
Mhm.
like I'm a person who has a cup of tea when they're craving food in between meals and don't need it, you know?
Mhm.
It's so simple, right?
Yeah.
But powerful as opposed to, okay, I'm just gonna have a cup of tea when I crave. It's like it's an identity shift. I'm a person who does that.
Yeah.
Um, and so there's always room for being enlightened by someone who, like you, who's been doing this and helping a lot of different people for a long time.
I think what you're pointing out, and I think what uh for a lot of people, we in the shift, for if you've never done the shift before, this is for the listeners who've never done the shift and for people who have done the shift too, is that when you first come in, we really talk a lot about identity because that's kind of the first piece. And we have an overwhelm or not overarching identity of, being an apprentice, being a learner on a journey. But as you get more deep into your weight journey, you do start to like, there's many MINI, like little more subtle identities that you can step into and lean into. And I think that for most people who are successful in the long term, though it's that nuanced piece that they start to lean in and really own those pieces too. Like you mentioned, like I'm somebody who drinks tea instead of eating for dinner or when I'm bored in the afternoon. And we that's people are like, I'm somebody who wakes up in the morning and goes out and exercises no matter what the weather. Those are the standards you start to hold yourself to. I mean, if you think of the things in life where you're successful or you're proud of your achievements, you probably see yourself as a person,
Yeah.
in all those different places that, like, I am a mother who, you know, wants my children to be emotionally sound, so that is how I try to live my life, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's in the nuance that so much of the mastery happens. Like when we talk about weight mastery, it isn't just about doing good on a diet, losing weight, but it's about mastering not just your weight, but yourself and in those moments.
Yeah. And being able to combine those little things, those little practical changes and belief shifts with what I think is really powerful that you taught us was the visioning, and
Mhm.
which came a lot from hypnosis and meditation. So, I would vision myself on a beautiful mountain, feeling really strong in hiking clothes I felt good in. And then how do I achieve that with where I'm at now, particularly at that place where I was stuck?
Mhm.
And that one thing that really has always stuck with me from your program is pain pushes and vision pulls. So I really got that right away. I'm like, oh yeah, you feel really bloated and awful and you're in such pain. And the next day you just eat less and then you're out of pain. And that just pushed you a little bit, right? But that's enough. But the vision really pulls you to what do I really want? What do I really see for myself?
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
long-term steps that get you there. So,
Right.
but using the practical little pieces that get you there. And I
Yeah.
can always bring it down to hiking because it's the same thing. You get to the top of a mountain one step at a time, you know. Um,
Yeah.
but you take the next step and the next step because there's something really amazing when you get there.
I love that. Um, Tell us about your vision for the Dolomites and tell us again, because I think it's pretty phenomenal that, I don't know about you, but for me, turning 60 is a turning point in many
Yeah.
ways. And I mean, I think it's a subconscious, built-in cultural turning point, like turning 40, turning 50,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of expectations. And I think there is a fear. I don't think our generation is becoming invisible. I think, a lot of women become invisible as they grow older, but our generation is like, oh, hell no, we're not doing that. I just went and saw Madonna a couple of months ago. I was like, oh, look at her. She's not
Wow.
invisible at
Yeah.
all. And,
Awesome.
we have a lot of, yeah, amazing women examples around us who are 60 or turning 60 who, are out in the forefront and, kicking butt.
Yeah.
So, for you, what is this all about, and how did the Dolomites factor into your like personal journey into your 60s?
I had decided a couple of years ago that I wanted to go to the Dolomites. I had been hiking in Portugal actually with a group of people who had done a lot of trips, and they said their favorite one was the Dolomites. I hadn't heard about it. I didn't know what the Dolomites were. So that got me on looking into that. I'm like, oh, that's what I want to do for my 60th birthday. But at that point, yeah, no, at that point, I felt like I was strong enough. Um, but that was another place where I started gaining weight after that. So I had a journey to get back to being able to do that. So I knew that I started to feel like, okay, I have just so many years left in my life, right? Like could be 20, could be 30, I don't know. But
Come on,
what is
Gina,
it that
40, 45.
yeah, like what, okay, could be, but what is it that I wish I had done more of
Right.
now? Like what do I wish I had done more of? And it always came down to hiking to beautiful places, you know,
Mm,
just simply for the awe of it, just for the
mhm.
awe of it. It's just, and I'm really I'm always struck by these really gorgeous places that just sit there that no one sees because you can't take a car there, you can't fly there, you can only get there if you make an effort on foot. And I'm always shocked by, oh my God, this just sits here, this beautiful, pristine lake with these snow covered mountains around it. So I knew I had the experience of what it was like to see that. And I wanted to see more of it because that's what I regretted not doing more of. And I didn't feel like my time was up. And I wanted to make sure my time wasn't up. So that's what was pulling me to see the Dolomites. And then just saying, that's what I want to do for my 60th birthday. And what would be better than doing it with my family? So, I announced that that's what I want to do. And the eight of us, because I have four kids and one is engaged, one is married. So the eight of us went. And then this vision through the shift, that was a very easy vision to access that, what did I want to feel like and look like when I was on those mountains? And it's funny. So as I was packing for this trip,
Mhm.
my suitcase felt a little heavy. I'm like, I better weigh this suitcase. We were going to be in carry-on tonight. I better weigh this suitcase. So I got on the suitcase by myself, and then I got on the scale by myself, and then I got on the scale with the suitcase. And the suitcase was the exact amount of weight I had lost. When I got
Oh, wow.
when I got on that scale with the suitcase, that was the weight I used to see when I'm like, I can't stay at this place anymore. So
I
it
love
was like,
it.
what? So it was just before the trip, I reached my goal weight and saw myself on a scale with a big heavy suitcase, and that's how much I used to be. Uh, so
So cool.
that was such
I
a
love
visual.
it.
It was such a, and then, sure enough, I have a picture. I know I posted on the Facebook page that very much looked like that vision I was holding.
It's
Of me on
amazing.
this mountain at a weight I felt very good at and very strong at. Um, and that beautiful place, it was kind of like a fairy tale land to me, is always with me. I'll go back. This is one I have to go back to. But those that feeling and that beauty um, I see it every day.
That's so cool. So what's up for you? Like, so that I understand, like you have like that epiphany moment that imprints on you, and then you've got
Yeah.
that, and you did that too. So you did that, and you have that confidence of owning that.
Yeah.
And not only owning it, but owning it with your family, which just brings it to another elevation.
Yeah. Yes. And
How
they
did
love
your,
it too. So what's
did
more,
they enjoy it?
yeah, it's so lovely to see my family so excited about being in this beautiful place that I love so much too. Um, and that the vision that would make me happy made them happy too.
That's
Was
so
great.
cool.
So what's next is there's a lot of beautiful places to see that I haven't been to, but I want to do things I haven't done before. So I would like the next experience to be a little bit more immersive, where what we were talking about before, where you do a hut to hut experience or refugio to refugio experience, where you actually don't come out of the mountains to go to your hotel, but you
Yeah,
stay in the mountains. So I just started looking into that.
very cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're going to be working towards that, which
Yeah.
does require like some serious fitness and training, I think, right? You have to kind of train for that a little bit.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm doing that, and
You
it's always
live
getting
near the, I
back.
mean, you live near mountains. So Gina's always, just so everybody listening knows, Gina's always posting pictures of her on tops of mountains. It's not like this woman does not go to mountaintops all the time. And it's amazing because you go by yourself a lot of the time.
I do. It's a thing that it started because like when I would go in the reservation, I didn't want to be responsible for getting anybody else lost. And
Right.
I'm kind of pulled by what's around the corner that I haven't seen yet. And I don't want to worry about getting somebody else into trouble. So it started out, and that's why I wanted to be alone in there to explore. But I also love the solitude. At the time, I had 4 kids and I was busy, and so I loved the solitude. I'm not fearful, so
Mhm.
worry about what are you going to encounter, what animals you're going to encounter. I'm not really fearful of that. Obviously, have to be alert and know what to do, but I don't want to give that up out of fear, you know
Right.
because I've
Yeah.
never had a problem. And I pretty and consistency, another thing I've learned from you is really important. So I hike weekly because if I want to do these big hikes, it's got to be part of who I am and what I do. So I do a hard hike every week.
And when you say hard, how like,
Well, you know what, the hard changes, right? So I'll do like my next hike, the next big hard hike I'm doing is something called Clouds Rest in Yosemite. And
oh,
that's
wow.
13 miles with about 3,000 feet of elevation gain. But we'll make that hard is it reaches almost 10,000 feet in elevation.
Wow.
So that'll be my next frontier. I've done 13 miles and 3,000 feet of elevation, but not reaching 10,000 feet. I don't
Okay.
know if I can do it. I'm going to find out, you know.
What? I put my money on the fact that you will.
Okay, I'll have to
I,
post that picture to prove it.
you will.
But usually I'm doing 6 to 13 miles with 1,000 to 3,000 feet of elevation gain once a week, and then 4 times a week strength training, upper body a couple times a week, lower body a couple times a week. And then I try to get in mobility work because I think at our age, that's
Mhm.
really important to avoid injury, to keep us flexible, and it feels really good. So
Do you
it's
do a whole separate session of a mobility work, like, or do you work that into your strength training, like before and after?
both. So I
Mhm.
definitely work it into my strength training before and after each session. And I now do one like full set. Sometimes it's abs and mobility. Um, I follow somebody that I think has a very nice training program out there. Her name is Heather Robertson, and
Mhm.
it's free. And I think it's a wonderful program. It makes it very easy to stay with it and be consistent.
Oh, wow. I'm writing down this name.
Yeah, write it down. It's heatherrobertson.com. She has so much content for free, but her 12-week programs, and
Mhm.
there's about 5 of them, is what I follow.
Mhm.
And it's just very easy. Push the button on, do a 40-minute workout, and then the next day. And they're meant to be cumulative over a
Oh,
12-week period. Yeah.
that's
So
fantastic. Well, thanks for sharing that information. So I have one last question, Gina. This has been really amazing. Thank you so much. You're so generous. Um, what would you say for somebody out there who's hearing you, who's inspired by, your journey? What is the first step that you would recommend if they were struggling, if they were 40 pounds, 50 pounds, 60 pounds, and like they were like, I can't get this weight off, what would be the first place that they would like
I really
step they
think
take?
the first place is to forgive yourself. And I think
Mm,
forgiving yourself is easier when you reflect a little bit on why would I have gotten these habits? And if you look at the modeling from your parents around food or your childhood or re- very, very good reasons why a young person would have turned to food for comfort. I think it makes that self forgiveness more authentic because it's kind of like, oh, yeah, I get it. Of course, this is what I was modeled for me. This is the solution that was available to me as a young person, and then so I think that forgiveness from a very authentic place of just a little bit reflection that helps you understand why you would have gained these habits. It has nothing to do with being a bad person. It has to do with the solutions that were available to you
mhm.
and the modeling that was available to you. So right there, like level the playing field on I'm not good or I
Yeah,
can't do this. That would be the first step. And then I think the practicality that you offer of, of skills that go along with this self-love and self-love in the form of giving yourself what you really want.
yeah,
And if that's living in a body that's more comfortable for you, that allows you to do the things that you really would like to do, that takes the limitations off, great.
yeah. Those are really, really powerful suggestions. Thank you.
Sure, sure.
So what do you think about being 60? Would you recommend it?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, we're all going to get there and beyond, right? It's a train
Yes.
we cannot stop. So
Yeah.
why do we try so hard to stand in front of it, right? It's just get on it.
I think the anticipation, I mean, I've been pretending I'm 60 for a year, so I'm okay. But I think the anticipation, when I turned 50, when I turned 40, when I turned 30, I remember the year before was, and then I
Yeah.
became 50 and I was like, well, I'm 50. That's pretty cool. Once you step into it, you're kind of there,
Yeah.
you take ownership and you move on and you forget about it being
For su-
anything.
Yeah, for sure. 60 is one that rattles us because I think we equate it as, oh, that's old, like
Yeah.
60.
Well, we did. Yeah. Now
We
I
did,
don't see it so old, but yes, when I
yeah,
was 40, it
when we were
definitely seemed
younger.
older.
Right,
Yes.
right. But when we think of what we're capable of versus what, in our case, our moms were capable of at 50 or 60, right? Not
Yeah.
close to what we can do. So
Yeah.
you realize you have the power to change what 60 is.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
you have already. So yeah. So I think, and there's a lot of freeing things. Another thing we share is this is our first year of an empty nest, both of us, right?
Yes.
Which opens up a whole new world.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
And it's both terrifying and very exciting.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It is. Well, Gina, I can't thank you enough for coming on. This has been really wonderful. Thank you for your time and thank you for sharing all of I mean, very generously of your experience and your life.
Well, Rita, I just want to thank you because I know I really understand the courage it takes to build a business that you've built that serves in this way and to stick with it. And I'm just so happy that you created this space for us.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We'll look forward to having you back. When you
When I
are
come
you going to
down,
do Mount Everest? Are you going
no,
to
I'm not a mountaineer. I'm a hiker.
Okay. Okay.
There's
And
an identity for you.
Kilimanjaro, is that
I don't
mountaineering
know.
or is
I'm
it?
not going to say no to anything, but
Okay.
I'll keep it open.
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to more adventures. Thank you, Gina.
It was such a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Gina. And please, everyone, come join me for my free online masterclass. It's going to be live next week. They're free. It's going to be educational, but hurry, the space is limited. We're going to do hypnosis. They're filling up fast, so just come and go to the show notes or go to my website, www.chefweightmastery.com, and sign up and join the party. All right, so remember that the key, and probably the only key to unlocking the door of the weight struggle, is inside you. So keep listening and find it. I will look forward to seeing you right here next week. Have a good one. Thanks for listening to the Thin Thinking Podcast. Did that episode go by way too fast for you? If so, and you want to dive deeper into the mindset of long-term weight release, head on over to www.shiftweightmastery.com. That's www.shiftweightmastery.com, where you'll find numerous tools and resources to help you unlock your mind for permanent weight release, tips, strategies, and more. And be sure to check the show notes to learn more about my book, From Fat to Thin Thinking, Unlock Your Mind for Permanent Weight Loss, and to learn how to subscribe to the podcast so that you never miss an episode.